Welcome back. This is Julia with the MoonBound Podcast. I thought I'd put together a compilation of all of the things I did while I wasn't able to tape with you. That last shot was my mom, and this is all footage from the Wisconsin Sheep and Wool Festival. It was really cold for the first couple of days. It warmed up as the weekend came along. Mom and I camp out every year, and we get there on Thursday and stay through till very late on Sunday. It takes us a long time to pack up. We're probably the last to leave. We stay right near this pavilion, and there's 2 or 3 other groups that stay right there, and we all kind of hang out during the day and in the evenings. There's some tea there. I am spinning very, very quickly because I'm plying very, very quickly because I have a class right after this, and I need 3 empty bobbins in order to take the class, in order to properly take the class. So here's some still shots of doing that. I wasn't certain if the video on my phone would work very well. And I'm just plying as fast as I possibly could go. This yarn was part of the Completely Twisted and Arbitrary Ravelry group's Spin the Bin challenge, and it was one of the things I included to kind of force myself to do it. It was not particularly great cotton, and I did finish it. I am calling it Apple Cart because it really upset my apple cart. There was a little bit left over after I finished the 2-ply, so I did a Navajo ply. The class I mentioned was a class on ply twist with Jillian Moreno, and there's some of the samples we worked on in the class. I absolutely love the class, and I bought her book, which she signed for me. If you ever get a chance, you should definitely take her class. The sheep here are Shetland. Bunny in particular wanted me to find some Shetland to take pictures of for her because we had read a story about Shetlands hiding in bunny burrows during storms when they live on the Shetland Islands. So that was something that she's very interested in, and she's decided that they are bunny sheep. I don't remember what breed this little guy is, but he really, really liked me. I've mentioned before that I'm working toward my Certificate of Excellence in Hand Spinning from the Hand Weavers of America Guild. And so I've been picking up different fiber samples. This is just some ply yarn for making spiral ply yarn. And so this is some textile. So I picked up a bunch of different breeds while I was there. Just a little bit of each. Textile is a meat breed sheep. This is Columbia. I'm trying to gather as many different fibers to write notes on. I've been doing that for a while, but more focused now. This is some flax, and I've never spun flax, so I'm very excited about that. Here's some more prepackaged. Each of these little envelopes are about an ounce. There's some hemp in there and some other fibers. Here is some nylon that I'm going to be blending with some wool to make some sock yarn. I really, really liked this little idea. It's an itty-bitty tiny embroidery hoop, and after you finish making it, it makes itself into a necklace. This is some weld for doing some natural dyeing in shades of yellow. I picked this little tiny brooch up to secure the mystery spin shawl that I made. I've been doing some reading about Portuguese knitting, so here's some of the knitting pins you pin to your shirt while knitting. Gonna try that out. My husband is very interested in nail binding, so I picked up this needle and I'm going to try to make him something. We'll see how that turns out. These 2 books are on the bibliography for the COE, and I was very excited to find old spinning books. I love old spinning books. I didn't actually meet this lady, but I really loved her shawls. A friend was selling her patterns. One of my friends was taking a broom making class, and she made this little pot scrubber for me and a beautiful broom that I'm keeping in my car. Right before Sheep and Wool, I entered this skein into the Walworth County skein competition and took a grand champion, so I'm very pleased with myself about that. My husband bought me this beautiful little washing machine so that I can wash wool outside instead of in the kitchen. It washes way more wool than I could do hauling buckets on my own, and it does a really good job, and I'm very impressed with it. This is a random shot of a donut that I made. It's a Paul Hollywood recipe. Very, very yummy. So I participated in Spin the Bin in Spinzilla this year, and Spin the Bin, both. It was only about a week before that happened that I got injured. I was signed up to be part of a team, so I was very worried about letting the other ladies down. Go Team Milky. We actually ended up having several people on the team who were injured and still came in 14th place. So that was one of the things that I spun. The fiber there is brown sheep wool from out in Wyoming, and I dyed it myself. I'm using a Scottish Dialgan spinner that my dad made me, and I made the wrist staff for myself out of yarn that was a picture bat from my trip to California with Beaver. Spinning on a drop spindle while laying down is awkward, to say the least. I ended up mostly spinning above my head. I got 5 of these little, we decided they looked like little chubby birds, done, which was all of the fiber that I've shown in that shot. And the other fiber I used was Lincoln long wool. I did do some spinning on my spinning wheel, but I didn't really like it. It was creaking and groaning, so after that I put it away. This is the Lincoln long wool. I combed it and then spun the combed worsted, and then I carded the combed waist and spun that woolen. I got a 2-ply out of the worsted and some woolen lace and some woolen that's a little bit thicker in 2 different colors. I actually have 2 shades of the Lincoln, and I only spun the darker blue, except for the carded waist, which I spun combo, so this is the carded waist yarn. Spun woolen in the 2 different shades of blue. Turned out pretty good, I think. There's my setup, and you can see my little chubby birds in the window there. And here is a shot of the woolen with the rowlog. That was actually the very last thing. In the last hour, I got 80 more yards done. Here's everything that I spun for Spinzilla. I got a grand total of 2,214 yards total. Was very pleased with myself. I think I want to do maybe 5 times better next year. My mother-in-law is reglazing her house, so she gave me the old window screens to make a drying rack. The cat has really, really enjoyed having me just laying around, being a human warmed bed for him. So here's a couple of pictures of him keeping me company. I think he's the only member of the family that's enjoying this. This is a picture of the Halloween costume that I made for Badger, and Badger wearing it. She was a phoenix. Here is the new camera that I'm using to take the videos. It was a birthday present from my family. One of the new things that I'm doing is I'm starting to do some knitting design work. And this was the first design that I made, which was a cowl. My mother actually test knit this for me and decided I needed it back as a birthday present. So that was kind of neat. This is a yarn bowl that my mother-in-law made for me. It is really, really neat and has a feature that I haven't seen anywhere else. So once she starts selling them, I'll let you know. Here's some Halloween fun. There is Badger in the foreground and Bunny in the background. This is Mouse. I assure you he does have a pumpkin. And mostly this is how we see him. He likes having his hair long. This is my husband and how most of the pictures of my husband look. He doesn't really like having his photo taken, but he does like taking pictures. There is the end result of that. My eldest son, Beaver, despite being off at college, has decided to join the Navy. So he'll finish out the semester, maybe do next semester, not really sure, and then move on. I've mentioned before how with my injury I've had trouble holding patterns in my head. So this is a crochet project. The first I ended up with a huge error and it turned into something else. This is what it's supposed to be. So that's one of the other things I've been working on there. I thought it would be neat to include a couple of pictures of my dad because we've been together. And here's him working in his studio. He's rough cutting some logs down into bowl shapes. The wood is green, so he has to let it dry after he gets it roughly the shape he wants. And after it dries in a bag with some wood chips and allows all the moisture to dissipate, it will be ready for final turning. For example, that bowl is 8 pounds, and when the bowl is finally done, it will be a couple of ounces. Another project I'm working on is a family history book, and so there's a shot of my daddy when he was 5. And here's a picture of my great-great-grandmother and some of my great aunts. I want to thank you for watching and joining me at the MoonBound Podcast. Have a nice day.